is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome to episode 16 of Sunday Morning Conversation, where we talk to content creators, big and small, in the trading card and TCG space. If you want to be on a future episode of Sunday Morning Conversation, feel free to email me in the description below or on Instagram. Today, I'm talking to a buddy of mine who basically came around at the start of my journey. He's been a ride and die for me, and now I'm a ride and die for him. He got a lot of good content. He's been doing some big things over on his channel as well. Let's welcome Hectiktcg to the channel. What's up, Hectic? How you doing, man?
Doing amazing. I love that introduction, by the way.
I always have it lined up one way in my head, and then I get into it, and it's like literally two words, and it's like, all right, we're gonna let this rip. So, yeah, man. Well, for those who may not know who you are, maybe just a little intro of who you are and what you do.
So my name is Hectiktcg, aka Hector in real life. I started my TCG business around the time that Phantom did. I also started content around the same time as Phantom. Obviously he's gone way above, but yeah, his growth has been crazy. But yeah, I basically been selling for a couple months now. What, like half a year, 7 months, 8 months, something like that.
About that.
And yeah, at first, like, I've had a couple content shifts as well, but now I have 3 different channels. One is a podcast, one is a business only channel, because that's the type of content I used to make at first, and I missed it a lot. So I'm doing one a week, and then I have my main channel, which is all art all the time, which it's a lot of fun as well.
I just learned something new. I thought for those who don't know, he did an excellent interview with Pokey, which I'll have all the links and stuff in the description. But I thought that was on your main channel. I didn't even realize that was a different channel that you had that on. Or was that the Pokemon channel?
That was on my main channel.
That was on the main channel.
Before
okay.
I made the new channel, yeah.
Okay. I just assumed that it was the business channel, since he was like a multi-millionaire maniac. But how's the journey been for you starting? Because I know it can be rough starting, especially when there's so many people getting into the grind, and you see so many people wanting to make a business out of it, or further and farther beyond that, you grow to $100,000 million company. How has your journey been, especially for those who are thinking about starting now, as things continue to just be kind of a no-brainer to start and give it a shot?
So honestly, I'm not gonna lie. It's been a learning experience, right? I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and say that it's all easy. There's a lot. There's a learning curve. There's a lot of things that you do have to figure out on your own. You're not gonna have all the answers immediately off rip. You could do it like you're talking to somebody who literally did what, 4, 5, 6 months of research before I even decided to step in and start actually, applying what I learned.
Yeah.
And like I'm telling you, I watched Brian religiously, Dan Catch'em All Collectibles. I did a lot of that, and studying before I even made the first video, before I even started to sell anything. So I will say it's a learning curve, but it's easy enough to get into that. Once you start doing it, it's almost like clockwork. It's easy to get demotivated like anything else, but to be honest, if that's something that you're on the cusp of starting, if you're on the edge, I would definitely push you off the edge and say, hey, just go ahead and do it.
Yeah. You ever see the movie Whiplash?
No.
It's the one with the drummer Prodigy, and the instructor's like this super like hard ass that is like, he's like almost abusive. Essentially, there's a point in that movie where they come to a point where the teacher gets fired because they find out he's this abusive guy. And they end up meeting in a bar, and the kid is like, hey, do you ever think that you go too hard on people? Like, you might get discouraged the next person from being the next great thing. And he says, nah, man, because the next great thing would never be discouraged. And that line, I think about it all the time, especially when I get down in the dumps. And because I don't think people realize it doesn't matter what level you're at, you're going to feel that. Even now I'm approaching 3,000 subs, which is crazy. But even now I'm looking at people behind me and looking at people forward me, thinking I wish I could go back to doing things and looking for things in front of me that it's almost like it's never going to be good enough no matter where you are. So you just kind of have to block that noise out. How do you handle that with where you are in your fledgling journey of cardboard and content?
I guess the best answer I can give you for that is sucking it up and keep moving. You know what I mean? I always try to be optimistic, but there are times where, like, thoughts get the best of us. And what I do is I look at other people and what they're doing, even though that's probably something you shouldn't do. It's not something everyone can do, right? But I try not to compare, and I'm like, look, listen, there's always somebody out there who's probably has it worse than I do right now. You know what I mean? No matter the situation that I'm in, like there's probably someone who's struggling more with something, or with their is battling with their own mind. And like at this point, if they can keep going, then I know I can keep going. So
Yeah. I speaking of struggles, and that's kind of one of the big things I wanted to praise you for is I've said a million times that my struggle is prioritizing and scheduling between working a full-time job and trying to do this channel, the card stuff on the side. I myself finally I started 2 channels like 4 or 5 months ago, other ones that I have yet to post on. And it seems like no matter what day of the week it is, there's just never any time for anything. And I get down on myself, but then I look at guys like you and other people who have families and have wives and kids and like barriers that I don't have. And then I think to myself, if these people can do what they're doing with more limitations than I do, what's my excuse other than I just don't want to? How is that for you when you're juggling all that stuff? How hard is it to stay on task knowing that there's so many things that you want to do and take care of,
yeah.
but you can't or have to prioritize to the best of your ability?
So my whole thing is I'm okay. So I have ADHD, like severe, but I'm also very OCD. So like there has to be some level of organization to be able to fit all the little things that I want to do in one day.
Sure.
At first it wasn't always like that, right? At first I struggled with like, what am I going to do today? And like I would just kind of go off the cusp and figure out what it was that I wanted to do. But that didn't work out very well. You know what I mean? I'm the type of person that if you sit me on the computer and I'm supposed to get one task done, I get so easily distracted. I'll get a notification saying that Phantom's live or somebody's live, and I'll just click in. And instead of working, now I'm listening and I'm commenting and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like there has to be a level of like organization that you have to have. I would sit there and pretty much I made a schedule, and I'm like, I'm going to stick to this no matter what. And I will say it was harder when I was listing on Tcgplayer. Now, thankfully the Ryko scanner and everything, and doing it on eBay has helped the listing side of things. And I mean, I could tell you so many other things that I've done to try to like make more time and make more time here, make more time there, like so many little things. Because like you said, I have so many limitations. I have my wife and my kids, and I have to make time for them. I have to be able to make time for other things. I have work, and I work a lot. I work outside too, so it's like when I get home, like I don't want to do anything. You know what I mean? It's just finding the motivation and like having that drive you, right? Just like,
Sure.
what is the future going to look like 5 to 10 years from now if I continue to hustle the way that I am?
Yeah, it's working retail and working outside are obviously two different jobs completely. But the sentiment of I don't want to do anything when I get home is so true because like after dealing with sick, annoyed, just cranky people for 8 hours, I could think about streaming and stuff all day, and by the time I get home, it's just like I don't want to do anything right now. The last thing I want to do is talk to a human soul, even though everyone I talk to in this whole space is like pleasant and awesome. But
Yeah.
you're right. It's, a schedule is super important, and I have made one finally. It's not like to a T. There's still my moments. Like
Hmm.
today I was sorting some cards and doing stuff. And usually when I start getting burned out or need a break, Hearthstone is like my game to go to because it's got like a little
I've
auto.
seen.
Yeah, yeah. It's got a little auto battler game. It's like, okay, I can dip in for 15 minutes, finish a game. But then I know myself and I can't do that because the minute I lose, it's like, all right, I got to at least get a top 4 or something. And then 3 hours goes by and it's like, shit, I didn't do anything. And now, like you were saying with eBay, man, things are starting to I'm starting to go all over the place with what I want to do. I'm still listing on the way, but how has eBay treated you, and where are you kind of like what percentage would you say are you doing Tcgplayer and eBay right now, and what are you planning on doing going forward as far as the split between how many apples you put in those baskets?
Okay. So at the moment, I'm gonna be very transparent, very honest. I still have my inventory hidden, and a lot of the stuff that I have on there, I still have to delete, right? I have to do like a mass deletion of everything, or
Yeah,
at
yeah,
least most of everything. I just haven't done it because it's like, why am I going to add another layer to that listing and that business cake that I just can't handle right now? Like, I need to focus on getting my inventory on eBay right so that I can maybe stop worrying so much about sourcing, take some of that energy away from the sourcing and all this other stuff, and then start working on what I want to put on TCG Player. Because I have an idea of what I want to do,
sure,
but right now with everything that I have going on, like if it was just the business and no content, then maybe I'd be able to. But like with everything all together, I have to make time to for the things that are, I guess, of more importance. So as far as the second part of the question, the goal is to I have a thing full of trainers. It's literally like a couple but VW boxes just full of trainers. Everything from like way back in like XY era to
hmm,
like now, even black and white. And the goal is to take all of that and put it all on eBay using the scanner of two, of course, because that'll
sure.
make my life a million times easier. And so I'm going to do trainers and playables on TCG Player and Magic. I just feel like it sells better for me there. And then everything else will be on eBay.
That's I mean that's basically what I've been doing. I've kind of gone like all Magic on TCG Player and all Pokemon on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually I'll be doing a little more smarter because like I don't want to put bulk rares on, especially some on direct. I don't want to put bulk rares on there for 40 cents and then sell them for 20 when I could just put them in dollar binders, or like, I don't have to get rid of those. So
Yeah.
ideally those things I would probably put on eBay. If I ever decide to do lots down the road, I could probably do that. But I've actually started buying like colored binders and like pre-making dollar binders for the day that I ever have a store or start doing shows again, which hopefully I'll be doing one soon. My last PSA shipment is coming in a couple weeks, and I'm trying to
Heck
think of
yeah.
like future stuff where it's like, okay, well, if I put this stuff that isn't going to make me money now, I can put it aside, maybe build something and have some more down the road.
Yeah.
But eBay's been it's been popping off, man. I underestimated how crazy that place can get.
Yeah.
How have you been doing on it so far? Like how long have you made? How long has it been your main listing site?
Um, Anywhere between a month and a half to 2 months. So I think I'm like right about at the 2 month mark right now.
Gotcha.
And it's been treating me well, man. Like I sold like double what I made in the first month, and like sold double what I sold in the first month on eBay than I did in TCG Player. That was like the first like sign that like, yeah, this is the right, this was the right move. And then I mean, ever since that momentum's carried now in a 2 month period. Even just at a month and a half, I sold what I sold in like 3 months on TCG Player. So it's definitely ramping up, right? And another thing is like my store is, I've only got like what 6,000 listings on there, but a lot of what I'm getting now, as opposed to it all being bulk, now I've got a ton of art rares on there. I've got a ton of special art rares and like full art trainers and all this other stuff that I honestly didn't have in my inventory before. Before it was
Sure.
all bulk, $1.99 and up. So um, now it's been ramping up for real. Like it went from 3 orders a day. Now it's like 5, 6, 7, sometimes more. It just depends on the day. Um, but like it's been treating me well, bro. Honestly, I was telling Phantom the other day because I was on his live as well recently. I was like, dude, like, thank you, because if it wasn't for you and your information, and the videos that you put out, like, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, it's weird, man, because it's like there's part of me where it's like it doesn't hurt to have multiple platforms, because I don't think there's going to be a day that I never sell on TCG Player,
Mhm.
because it obviously has its role, like you said, playable things like trainers and stuff. Yeah, you might make a little less on it versus eBay, but how fast you can move those things and get them out of there, it almost makes up for it.
Yeah.
Even things like right now, what are the nerds in Pokemon right now that I went crazy? Like there's that Slowpoke from Stellar Crown that's like $2 or $3. The
Yeah.
Dunsparce that's from Journey Together that's like $2 or $3. I
Hmm.
experimented and I found like I had a box of Poke I hadn't sorted through yet, and I found like 30 Dunsparces, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna put 15 on eBay. 15 on TCG Player. Granted, I'm indirect, so it might be a little bit skewed, but the minute I put them on Tcgplayer, they were gone in 10 minutes. And
That's
it's like,
crazy.
all right, so, but also there's the time crunch, because it's like when you don't have a lot of time, you want to like sit down and figure out where to put where, but the amount of time you're spending thinking about that when you don't have a lot of time to put towards it is almost not worth it, and you should just throw it up to wherever you can. How do you tackle that? I know you said the store, your Tcgplayer store is hidden right now, but even when it was live, before you just went through and just did trainers only and playables, like, do you ever have those inner battles with yourself of like just sitting idle wondering what to do where? And when you do, how do you kind of snap out of it and just get back to action to make sure you're constantly listening and constantly doing things?
Um, I'm not gonna lie. That's another struggle that I had like before I had the scanner was like, I hate sorting. Oh my lord, dude. I would literally my wife hated it too before the scanner because like my whole kitchen table, because I didn't have my area, I didn't have a desk, none of that. My whole kitchen table was all stacks of book. I still have a picture that I
That
hold
sounds
on to.
beautiful, man. That sounds amazing. I love it.
It
You've
was
seen my
just
counter before.
yes,
Yeah.
like now at least the bulk. Ooh, that was a strong one. At least
I'll
now the
probably hear
bulk
it here
is
in a few
like
minutes. You're not too far away from me in Florida, right? Yeah.
yeah. Where are you at?
Space Coast. So like Brevard County, Orlando-ish area.
Oh yeah, I'm like 3 hours away from you.
Nice.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's
sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, you're good. You're good. Now it's like I have a couple stacks of bulk here on my desk, but like they're all organized and they're already sorted, I put it there because I know that like I could just grab it here and then just start like scanning
Yeah,
it and
yeah.
whatever. Everything's right here. But before, man, oh my goodness, everything was all over the place. And like I said, I took a picture and I still have it just because like it reminds me of like where I came from and like I didn't even have a desk. I didn't have nothing. I was just doing it, just raw, like just throwing myself out to the wolves, then just trying to learn how to swim, just by trying, right? Doing
Yeah.
whatever I could. And like there was days, like I said, where I wouldn't even I wouldn't even touch nothing. Like there was literally probably sometimes where I'd go weeks without listing a single thing.
Oof. Yeah, yeah. That's no bueno. I'm glad you fixed it though, because it takes, definitely said it takes some time, dude. Stacks of bulk on the counter are honestly like the card version of finding a $5 bill in your shorts after like laundry. It's like, man, I need like $5 or $10. Well, let me look through this bulk. Ooh, I did $30 hollowware that I didn't know I had. Oh, look at that. Okay, maybe I should. Yeah, that's what I do all the time. Is I'll go through a stack, then I'll find whatever all that stuff sells. I'll make an extra, quick 50, 100, $150. It's like, yeah, I probably should have been doing this. But I mean, I like sorting. And that's my issue is if I start sorting something, I will do it till completion. And sometimes it'll be 8, 10 hours. It's just trudging through, alphabetically sorting, scissoring things in. Everyone hates that. I love it. I just like this mundane. I almost feel like I'm OCD sometimes because I get so hyper fixated on doing one thing, which is why the scheduling thing is hard for me because I get so focused on one aspect of it. So like, where do you see yourself going in the next half of the year now that you've got the eBay cranking? You're doing more things besides bulk, which I think you would agree with me. Bulk should always be somewhere in the game plan. There is obviously a place, and I've learned this recently, where it doesn't have to be everything. I got so hooked onto it because of where I came from and the debt I paid off that I was ignoring other stuff. But once you treat it properly, which is the side piece to the other stuff, it's almost like the impulse buy. It's like, is everything okay? Is someone attacking you? Do I need to come down there? It's like the impulse buy stuff. Someone comes in for a $10 illustration rare and they go, oh, I can knock out, 6 or 10 commons and reverse hollows from a master set. And then that's when like that profit really starts kicking. So where do you see yourself going in the next 6 months to get to what your ultimate goal is?
That's a really good question. I've been thinking about it. So I know my next endeavor, which I'm actually starting here pretty soon. I've got probably around 200 cards that I'm taking towards in that direction that I haven't listed and I'm not going to list is vending. I'm waiting for because I've been interviewing my LGS sneak peek on one of the videos that I'm going to be doing soon,
Nice.
and they're like upgrading heavily. They used to be a video game store, like solely a game store, and then they turned into an LGS like a couple years ago, and now they're like the biggest LGS, and like they're moving into a big building. So I'm doing an interview with them, and so they're the ones that run some of the shows out here. So all that
Mm.
to say, I'm gonna be talking to them and getting acquainted so they can set me up for the next show. So that's one of the next endeavors. I also edit for one person, a vendor in
Oh,
Japan. So I do his videos as well, and that helps with the income. All of that goes
sure.
towards the business as well. And then there's somebody else who literally just yesterday asked me to edit for them as well. All of that stuff, while it does kind of hold back what I plan on doing for here forward, it does help get to my goal quicker in a way as well. So the trade off is worth it. But like the ultimate goal is to have multi-facets, right? The bulk is always going to be the foundation. It's what started it all, and it will literally be the backbone. When I'm not getting certain, orders for certain other things because of either slowdowns or whatever, the bulk is always going to be selling, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you know that very well. So I plan on continuing with the bulk side of things, and no matter how big I get, and no matter how big the operation goes, but I guess the goal is to grow as much as possible, grow the capital, and just be able to start getting into buying collections, buying sealed, because the sealed I would move through shows. Excuse me, the collections I would obviously would be eBay fodder, and
Yeah.
pretty much like I don't really have like a set goal in mind of like where my end point is,
Sure.
because I feel like you could say you want to get to here, but what about when you get there? Do you really think like as a visionary you're just gonna stay there and like not have another plan that just pops into mind by the time that you get to that
That's a good
point?
point. That's a good
So I like
point.
to say I don't really know where I'm going. I know the like I'm like a GPS. I know the road that I'm taking, but I don't know where I'm gonna be at. Right. I guess we'll see when we get there.
Hopefully, it's not like Michael Scott and you end up driving into a pond, because
Love the office.
that would be not good. I'm excited. So when is there? You don't have to say who it is or where, but when does the show take place?
So the shows they do them, I think they do 2 to 3 shows a month. There's
Okay.
one that happens in Naples, Florida. There's one that happens in Fort Myers, and then they have one at their new location, which is huge. It's like a warehouse. So they have shows in there as well.
Yeah, I got to. I did two. It was last year, and I, as much as you want to sell things at shows, I was able to buy so much stuff that I never thought I was going to be able to, that I
Hmm.
ran out of money, and I didn't even have that much. I only had like $600 or $700, and I was literally buying everything, like anything that someone wanted to throw my way. I was very transparent. I was like, hey, things in this value, I can only pay so much, and someone else might pay more. But when you're honest about that type of stuff, and especially now with everything being so crazy, it's an excellent way to chance to buy. It's an excellent chance to. I'm actually going to a show this weekend to walk around, and I don't even have them next to me, but I printed out these like brochures. Essentially, it's like these 3-page leaflet brochures. It's got my logo on the front, my contact information, and it's basically just like a restaurant menu of, here's my Pokemon rates, here's my Magic rates, here's my Lorcana rates, here's my whatever, and I'm going to go around to however many I can, drop them off, and see what happens. Because a lot of these people that vend, a lot of them run ripping ships. A lot of them are just into
Hmm.
the really big, crazy stuff. So you have to let us know how that goes. Because and not only that, but you can always do trades. Like if you can get sealed and have people trade into you, for sealed with their bulk or whatever else they might
Exactly.
have.
I
Yeah.
feel like it opens up your options a lot more. Like, and another thing is like, dude, you're buying things at a discount. Like you're gonna make money. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Even if you're paying 80%, like you could sell the same items that you bought at that show at that same show to somebody else, and like you're still profiting, right? And then
Hmm.
that's outside of like eBay, so you're not paying a 15% commission fee and stuff like that. Another thing that too I want to get into eventually is like consigning for people. You can sign a big enough item. I mean, look at ZNG, bro. They're doing what, like 15 million, 20, 30, 40
Oh
million
yeah.
dollar sales. It's one sale. 95% of that is all you need, brother.
Yep.
Or 5% of that is all you need. You charge 95%. You keep your 95. I take 5% of the total. You're good.
Yeah.
And it's easy. It's not your own stuff. So kind of there is another level of like you need to be secure and stuff like that. But I mean, if you do good business, man, I don't think
Oh
there's
yeah.
there's an issue with that at all.
One of the first things I did was a consignment. It was in my location in our, and you know, like a lot of people, I don't like using the word community, but I've been playing card games since I was like 18 and I'm like 42. I've been playing a lot. So there's a lot of people I've known for a long time that, you know, are starting to kind of get out of it. Some of them are older and getting ready to retire, and they're going to move. They don't want to take all their cards. So this one guy who who's actually, you know, not, he's pretty well off. I was telling him I was starting to sell, and he was like, "Hey, would you mind helping me sell this?" And I was like, absolutely. And ended up being like a really sweetheart deal. He was giving me like 30% or 40% of everything. And this is all like Magic stuff going back from like Khans of Tarkir. It's like 2012, 2013, all the way through now. And I don't talk about it that much, but that was probably, I was able to probably make probably like $10,000 to $12,000 off that. That's what really spearheaded my collection, or my debt payoff. Because I mean, he was the guy that, like, when a set came out, he had a playset of everything by the time the first week came out, and he had all sorts of craziness. It was like pre-release stamped foil Emrakul from like Shadows of Innistrad. Those things are like $200 a piece. Foil play sets of like every Planeswalker, and you know, it was hard to keep track of a little bit, but you know, he was pretty reasonable with me. He just wanted to get out of it, so it was kind of a blessing. But that also goes to know, like, the people you know and the people you meet. You never know who's going to be there to A, help you out, B, an opportunity. What's your experience been like with that? Like, when it comes to either content online or people you've met to do deals, are any of them repeat sellers to you, or how have you been able to forge kind of your own little identity down in the swamps of Florida to have a nice collection of people to come to you?
So I'm like the type of person, I like to think outside the box. Like, I watch a lot of videos, and so I know what like the cliche ways of finding bulk are, right? Yeah. But then there's like the ways that people don't. And this is something that I wanted to hit on, is something that you said earlier, and it's literally, if you watch my video that came out on the business channel, yesterday, I think yesterday was Wednesday, right?
Yes.
So I talked about it, and I'm like, dude, one of the biggest, most slept on ways to source like inventory in general, it doesn't even have to be just bulk, is rip and shippers.
Yeah.
How many people buy rip and ships and just send me the hits? You know what I mean? Like, these guys got this stuff just sitting there, and they're not going to throw it away because they know what they have. You know what I mean? There's going to be someone who's going to want to buy up all that stuff. And from what I've seen, I've asked a lot of the big rip and shippers in the space that everybody knows their names, and like, nobody's talking to these guys for that stuff. You know what I mean? And a lot of them are like I would be willing to part it for it at like a really good deal for, for the buyer.
Yeah, just get
because,
out of here.
like, heck yeah, because they're making money anyways, right? They don't really care about it. But if they have a way to make something off of that and not have to like put it away or throw it out or whatever, like, of course they're going to.
Yeah.
I
may have mentioned this before. I can't remember if I did it on the podcast or not, but one of the best bulk finds I had was just that. It was a listing on Facebook Marketplace, and it was like a 5-row of code cards. And at the time, I would not recommend anybody do this because you could probably sell them lots. But at the time, I wanted money. So I would literally, there's like apps where you can scan the code and get paid like a penny or 2 pennies or whatever set it is, you get paid out. And if someone ever said they had free code cards or they were selling them, I would buy them for half a cent each, knowing that I could get at least 1 cent. And then I would make like a quick $100 spending literally 2 hours just scanning in 5,000 code cards. So the guy had a free 5-row, and I was like already in that area. So it's like, yeah, let me come by. I walk in and I look to my left, and his entire wall is nothing but card hotels. And I'm like, what is all that? And he goes, oh, I'm on Whatnot. And apparently he had like a semi reputable channel where they do like literally a couple $1 million in sales a year. And he's like, this is all bulk, and I don't know what to do with it. And I just went, what?
You got the money signs.
come to daddy. And I told him what I did, and it took a few trips, but I was able to. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff too. There was a lot of damaged and moderately played, older stuff. There was newer stuff. There was random those like old magnet, like little like vinyl, like you move them. I don't know. There's just all sorts of random stuff in there, and it was dirt cheap. It was like, I want to say it was like it was like $20 per like half of a card hotel. He just did not want it. I was like, I can pay you more if you need me to. He's like, brother, I want this stuff gone. I don't care. Just throw me a reasonable number out there. And I was like, okay. But you never know when that stuff's going to happen. Like, is that like the most extreme example? Yeah. But, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You have to be you have to have your social like awareness on, because there are definitely people, when I start talking to them, there are some key words or key phrases that I look out for that, I'm not going to say I will totally distance myself from them, but it sends the radar up. It's definitely a red flag.
Yeah.
How have you been with sourcing when it comes to that? Like when you do most of your stuff, are you doing pickups? Have you had any bad experiences? And what would you say to those who maybe have had a bad experience doing a pickup somewhere, who got burned on how to keep going or look out for the future?
So no, I have never had a bad experience with pickups yet, because our 6 7 months in, bro, like we're fresh. Our journey just began. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? At least for me. But well, I guess what I would say to somebody who's been burned or something like that, I would say like at least it was bulk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at least you're not getting burned on like couple 100,000 or 15,000 or whatever, like on sealed supply. Like this is where you want to make those mistakes, because later on down the line you really don't want to make those mistakes. I'd rather it be $200 now and me learn a valuable lesson than $5,000 later, or
Yeah.
15 or $25,000 later, and like at least now I know what to look out for. It's kind of like you're saying, like you're talking about, having seen those red flags pop up, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna let this one slide. I'm gonna let this one go.
Yeah.
Probably
It's
better
like,
off.
it could have been something maybe, but like, I don't know, man. The more and more, anyone out there, the more and more you start doing this, the more and more you start picking up on little things like that. And obviously, there's times where it warrants to take a shot. I mean, I've taken plenty of, and burned. I've bought in 30, 40,000 cars before, been told there's no energies, and I don't sift through it all. I just say,
Yeah.
okay. And then, like, literally a fourth of it, like 10,000 cars, was just energy. And I was like, all right. But like I said, thankfully it's bulk. I mean, even getting hosed on that many cards, you're still going to be fine. And you can always just liquidate it to the next person. Not that I would liquidate energy to someone else, but if you buy stuff like that and you're ever in a jam, especially in today's market, you can literally just flip it to someone else instantly, and at least get your money back, if not more.
Correct.
As you've been getting into like the bigger stuff, the illustration rares, the art rares, the singles, how do you figure out like how much you're willing to spend, or how close to zero you're willing to spend in one shot when it comes to acquiring this stuff? Because I know for me, I've been playing it pretty pretty balls to the wall. Like I'll get down to maybe $100 or less in the account if it means I can get a decent collection and try to go through it. But that
Hmm.
also limits me. And like if something else comes along those lines, you
Hmm.
know, it's like how do you gauge how much you're willing to go to zero to pick something up for yourself?
It's funny that you asked that, because I have this conversation with my wife a lot. She doesn't understand she's like, because we're living, when you're living regular life and you're not dealing with a business, you don't want to be in that position where you're at zero, right? But the way I see it and the way I explain it to her is like, I can't make more money if I'm not spending the money that I have,
Yeah.
right? So the money that's sitting in my account right now, the business account, it's not making me anything. Like, yes, you do have to be risk averse, right? Or you do have to be prepared for what could potentially come. But at the same time, it's like you kind of have to just have a plan and follow that plan. If something else comes in the future, there are going to be some things you're going to miss. You know, you're not going to make every shot. It doesn't work like that. But the whole point is to have your capital deployed and have it making you some type of money. You know what I mean? Knowing what you're buying is very important. I know a lot of people don't really, they're not keen to like they don't really care if they're buying a big bulk collection, and it's, they don't care to know what's in there. I'm one of those people, like I'll have conversations with sellers. I'll be like, hey, like what sets do you have in there? and it's probably kept me away from certain deals, right? It's probably
Sure.
closed the door on certain deals because not, some people don't want to do that. But for me at least, I've been able to like always know what I'm getting. You know what I mean? So it just makes it easier because, for example, my store, if you look at it, I have a ton of like Sword and Shield and like Sun and Moon. So like I'm getting now to the point where like before I was like, okay, I can't have any more modern bulk, like super modern bulk, because I already have it there. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And you want to have a good amount of everything, not just of one thing, concentrated amount of one thing. So like I have to kind of be a little bit picky now, because it's like I can't keep buying, like you need to have different things, because if you buy, if Walmart had all the same types of underwears, are you going to go to Walmart to buy underwears, or are you going to go somewhere else to where you could try different ones and
Yeah,
stuff?
I buy the most colorful pack of boxers possible. I don't go for the all white. I gotta have a dark. I gotta have like a medium tone. I gotta have like a salmon or some kind of bright if I'm feeling frisky that
Yeah.
day. We need some variety.
It's
Yeah,
like, if Walmart only sold tidy whities, like you're not gonna go to Walmart to buy underwear. You know what
no,
I mean? You're gonna go to Target where they got like the Hanes with the different colors, or Fruit of the Loom with the different, like, definitely have to have some variety, good
yeah,
variety. And so for me, like, I try not to focus too much on what is in the future. I'm focusing on what's happening right now. If I can buy this right now, then I will at a good deal, because who's to say you're not gonna, you're gonna have anybody even hitting you up in the next like 2-3 weeks. You could have a dry spell.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Obviously depending on your source, but like if it's all just rip and shippers, or like, the Facebook marketplace, like you could very well not get hit up for some time, because they're not making any money. They're not ripping anything. Or all they're ripping is ultra modern, and like you're pretty much burnt out on ultra modern. Like you can't put up the same Piplup 1,000 times. You know what I mean? You can't put in the same Pikachu card 1,000 times. I mean, you probably could, but it probably wouldn't sell very well. So I try not to think about it too much. Is I guess the quick answer for that.
Well, I heard Rar likes Piplup, so if you put 1,000 up there, I'm sure if you give him a good deal, he'll buy them all.
Shout
I've
out Rock
I've
TCG.
got a small little list of things that people like. That way, if I ever come across something, oh, you want this? Yeah, a little bit of a deal.
Yep.
Have you gotten into grading at all since you're getting into shows? Have you gotten into grading at all?
Yeah, I sent a couple of submissions to PSA, because I was like, I had sent a couple in the past, but it wasn't nothing crazy, and I wanted to send a big submission. And when I heard that their bulk tier was closing, I said, oh, I had a BMW box that literally says grading on it. Nothing but like art rares, special art rares, like, super secret illustration rares, bunch of different types of cards, right? Promos, commons that I wanted to grade as well. And I just took a bunch of them. I pre-graded which ones I think would, benefit me most,
Sure.
and left the rest in there. And I sent some decent size orders over to PSA literally like a couple days before they closed. I was like, yeah, I can't let this slip
Yeah.
by.
It's I honestly don't understand the tactic of closing for 6 months, because I understand they have a giant backlog, but in my mind I'm thinking of the number of cards people are going to be holding on to for when it opens up, and then is it going to be the same or worse after all those things get sent in? So let's say January they open it back up, and then everyone sends in all this stuff they've been hoarding. They're going to be right back to, I mean, maybe not 10 million, but like 7 million, 8 million.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be dying down anytime soon, because you got, the celebrations coming out at the end of the year.
Hmm.
They just spoiled the Rayquaza set, so it's like. But the flip side to that is all these cards have been out there for so long that all these things are going to start coming back, and maybe that's what's going to start making things peter out a little bit. Where do you think things are going to go in the next 6, 12, 18 months with those sets in mind, knowing that they're going to be kind of sought after, and the amount of graded cards that are going to be coming back in the next 6 to 12 months as they get caught up?
So I don't know. For me, I've been around since Celebrations, and we've already dealt with this whole PSA closing thing before.
Yeah.
And I remember the last time it was supposed to be closed for a certain amount of time. They actually extended that for some time, and then when they opened back up shortly after, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they crashed. Like the market
Yep.
crashed. So if I like to think back to what I know, and I'm kind of having a little bit of a deja vu. I told Fan of the same thing. I'm like, dude, I don't know what's gonna happen, but if my inkling is right, and I'm thinking it's gonna be just like last time. Hopefully that's not the case, but we do have some big sets coming up, and there's just a lot to think about. Now things are a bit different, so there's the potential that it won't go that way, because bull run forever. But I'm hoping that things kind of normalize. But then again, I also don't know. I think for us as sellers, like regardless whether we're in a bull run or a bear market, like we're pretty much good either way, because you build up your capital during the bull market, and then you're able to buy at a really good price during the bear market. So
Yeah. It's I agree with you on the pattern because it was right. I mean, I think didn't they get up to like a year or 2 years for a time frame for grading, and then celebrations happened, and then it crashed. Like you said, things got a little silly, or at least they started to. And now that we're close to celebrations coming, things are like an all-time fever pitch. Once that comes out, what was the set after celebrations? Fusion Strike?
I I
Something like
think
that. Because I
I think
know
it was
Brilliant,
featured.
yeah, Brilliant Stars, I think was the set where the trainer gallery started coming out, and that's when things started kind of going down a little bit. And then the beginning was Scarlet and Violet Base. Everyone remembers how that started, and that's kind of
Oh
what's
yeah.
happening. Is you got celebrations, you got grading, then and then you have the end of the year. Crown Zenith was the last set of that whole thing, and no one really liked it until 3 years later. And it's like, winds and waves. That's going to be sometime next year, mid next year, just like Scarlet Violet is. Now, do I think it's going to be as, $90 boxes anymore? Probably not, but it's
Probably
kind of
not. Yeah.
scary how similar the time frame of events are happening as the
Mhm.
last 5 years. But it's interesting. It's interesting to keep in mind because there's going to be, there's more and more people getting into it. I even had a customer at work. I had to work over the weekend, and this guy, I mean, he was just like, boom, jacked. He had like this oversized shirt, like he just came back from the gym, and he had on a fanny pack. And I was like, "Hey, man, do you vend?" And he was like, "What? How did you know?" And I'm like, we started talking, and he was talking about how you literally just started. And it's just like the more and more and more and more people get into it, at some point, like I don't know if there's ever going to be a situation where there's more people buying than there are collecting or selling than there is collecting. Because I feel like that's where sports cards are right now. Sports cards, there's so many people that you see selling it versus actually collecting, and that's the
Yeah.
reason why I try to. I know there's nothing wrong with just selling, but I always try to like collect a little bit too because I don't want to be just like that guy that just sells. How do you balance the line between personal collecting, and selling when running a business? Because, like you said, if if you got money and it's not at work, you're doing yourself a detriment in the business. But also, it's really fun to collect. And when you're
Yes.
dealing with collectibles, I mean, you don't have to necessarily get rid of it right away because more than likely it'll go up at some point. So, how do you kind
Yeah.
of blur the line of what's acceptable for you and for someone struggling with that caveat? How would you suggest to them how to go about it?
So this is a suggestion that I learned from somebody in a Discord community. Someone who's a very good friend of mine now. He's my co-host for our podcast, for our
Oh,
art
you're
only podcast.
You were describing me for a second. I was like, you can just talk to me. I mean, you can just say my name right in front of me. It's okay. Nah. That guy's a good dude, though. That guy's pretty cool.
Yeah. So what we've pretty much come to, the decision we've come to is like, and this was his thing, is like every time somebody comes that's new or that wants to like get into Pokemon but wants to learn but also at the same time enjoy themselves while they're learning, it's like you pick one Pokemon, right? Pick who's your favorite. Yes, you can have multiple favorites, but who is the one that you like just aesthetically most, pulled towards, right? And the is it, basically the short answer is Peaches Collect,
Mm-hmm.
because you're focusing on one Pokemon. You're only buying cards for that Pokemon, so you're not going crazy like spending money here, spending money there. Because at the same time, you also have to grow the business, right? Like there has to be a good balance. There has to be a way that you can do both, and there is. Species collecting, in my opinion, is the smartest way, because not only are you, um, carefully spending money on whatever it is that you enjoy. But another thing is you start to learn more about Pokemon as an IP, like even just the TCG itself. The more you focus on one thing, one Pokemon, because now you have to go back and look at all of their cards
Yeah.
from the beginning all the way till now. And you're not paying attention to the most hyper modern stuff. You're also not paying attention to like everything at the same time. Like, ooh, look at all these beautiful IRs that are coming out in this set. You're more focused on like, okay, let me look at what was the first set they were in, and then you kind of start going from there. For me, that looks like Totodile. I just ordered.
Totodile's your favorite?
Yes.
Why isn't he on your? Oh, okay. I was gonna say, where's Totodile? I always see the two, and I see it. That's awesome. Yeah. Like literally, your head is right where Totodile is. I didn't see him the entire time. That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good drawing. Who did that?
That was one local artist actually.
I thought it was gonna be you because you said you did art. I thought that was something you drew.
No. We do. I like to do documentaries on like the artists.
Oh, documentary artists. Okay, I thought you drew as well. Sorry, I misunderstood you.
Oh no, I draw horribly, bro. Like stick figures type.
Hey, you can start a whole new like Yukonaba line where you just draw stick figures and maybe they pop off or something. Who knows?
Right? No, I don't know. If you look through my old videos on my main channel, you'll see that I used to do a series called I forget what it's called, but it was basically I was just drawing Pokemon, right?
I think I watched one or two of them. Yeah.
That's from memory. So like, could I probably draw? Yeah, probably, but I'm not the best artist. I'm not like this level.
Yeah. So Totodile is your favorite. What got you to like Totodile? Because it's Totodile is not a deep cut, but it's also not like the most popular, nerd to collect. So what? I'll say what 5 more times. What made you like What made you like Totodile so much?
I think it's his personality. It's he's like eccentric. He's all over the place. And if you ever meet me like in real life, like that's how I am. I'm very like you know what I mean, like crazy. That's why my name is Hectic, right? It's a play on my name, Hector.
That is a double entendre, my friends.
It's a play on my name, Hector, Hectic, and then it's also my personality. Like I'm very out there, and so that's what I like about Totodile. Another thing is, when I came into Pokemon, like as a kid, I used to play because my brothers all we grew up poor, but my brothers had one Game Boy Color that we shared, and so I started playing Yellow, the Pikachu version.
Sure.
Right? And I didn't really get the grasp of what Pokemon was because I was young at the time. I was very, very young. So my first game that I like really sank my teeth into was Ruby. So going back from there, like I got to experience, Totodile as a starter. And even though back then I used to focus more on, I thought fire starters were the coolest things ever. But for the show, I enjoyed watching him with his little antics and stuff like that. And that kind of just stuck with me. You know what I mean? He's just a lovable character.
Yeah.
I just think it's criminal that he doesn't get anything more than common, uncommon, and rare cards and promos. Like he just got a promo and it's beautiful. It's Cosmos. Yeah. That's great. But like, where's the IR, bro? How does Pocket get an IR before the actual TCG?
I know Psyduck and Totodile are 2 different animals, but I was saying the same thing about Psyduck had not had an illustration rare up until Misty Psyduck. And the last one was the tag team. And for a guy like that who's been around for so long to not have just a base illustration rare. So I feel you on the illustration rare thing, man. It's like, I love Gen 1, but like Totodile's Gen 2, right? Like give Gen 2 some love. Like give him or
even like an EX or like a full, he doesn't have nothing. He doesn't have nothing. Like
or the Shrouded Fable treatment. There's a nice sick promo that ends up being like a $50 or $100. So with a double entendre of your name, does that also mean that because Totodile evolves into Feraligatr that you're very nice and pleasant and out there, but you hit me on the wrong day and I'm going to be like a vicious alligator and I'm going to do I like that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are like that,
Yeah. Psyduck has always been my favorite. My 3 are Psyduck, Slowpoke, and Cramorant, and there's very specific reasons for them. A, they're derpy, whatever. Psyduck, I always loved the fact that I started to appreciate it more as I got older and worked in retail. getting so frustrated to the point that you just let out an elemental blast to really just like, okay, you're gonna keep it going. I'm getting pissed, and then it boom, just bam. Slowpoke, I always loved because of just how zoned out he was. Because after you go blow up, then there's that phase where you're just like, and you're like have to calm down and recoup. So Slowpoke always matched.
Recovering.
Yeah. And then Cramorant, this is gonna sound stupid. Cramorant, I'm not skinny by any means. So Cramorant always having food in his mouth and that glazed over face he has, which is the face that people have when they eat too much food. And that was a cycle I would have. I would get super frustrated and mad to where the point I would blow up, and then I would look like Slowpoke, and then I would go eat and calm myself down, and then that would be Cramorant. So now it's like the Derp Squad, all three of them. But yeah, Psyduck is he's the best. He's just. And now that we got the Ascended Heroes art where he's got his little feetsies just like waddling in the water.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't started collecting PSAs for Psyduck yet, but it and the 151 one are going to be the first ones that I go for. I just have to.
Oh yeah,
have to have him.
for sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's one of the cool Pokemons, and I think
yeah.
it's cool because if you look at the tournament festas, he's in every single. He's got a cameo in every single one of them.
Yep. Even the Slow King, I had I set one off and I didn't get a 10. I was bummed, but it goes to your comment about collecting one Pokemon because you don't have to just stop at a card named Totodile. You can even go deeper and start researching cards that just have Totodile as an ancillary nerd in another art. Then you start like opening yourself up to like what's going on in this art. I remember I found one. It was I think it was a Magikarp or one of the fish. And it was like the fish, but then there was like a Wingull in the back that was like doing a dive bomb. And it's like, okay, is this fish in danger? Is Wingulls like in the sky trying to attack my guy here? But there's like also little stories that go into them, and it makes you appreciate more than just like the monetary value of it. And it's something, even if you're like the hardest businessman, if it shows when you aren't in tune to that stuff. Like anything else, if you go to a mechanic and they're just like doing it for a job, but then you go to a mechanic and they're like giving you the ins and outs of like what your door handle means on your 83 Mazda, you're talking to the right guy. So, well, I know we're getting close to the end. Did you have any, topics that I didn't discuss or talk about that you wanted to touch on before we... I always try to open it up a little bit at the end. I always put people on blast without them knowing. I should probably give more warning next time.
I think you pretty much covered like the basics, right?
Yeah,
that's pretty good. No, so I honestly, one thing I can appreciate, that I always, because I watch all of these, is like the seamless introductions to each question, and like I try to mirror that a little bit when I'm doing like my interviews. Like I'm gonna be interviewing Dan Ketchum Collectibles next Tuesday.
Nice.
And so like I try to like encompass, the way that you do questions and like try to copy something like that. Obviously I don't do it as well as you do. You're like, your stuff naturally just rolls.
I don't do it as well as I do it. So it's I mean, I'll tell you exactly what I do. I don't write anything down. I usually have like the first question I want to ask at the top, but when I ask a question and then you're answering, once you mention something, like you'll in your question to the answer, then you'll mention grading, or like when you did started talking about vending. Mm-hmm. Once you started talking about vending, I'm still listening to you what you're saying, but then I'm like, okay, you just mentioned vending, so I'll have vending in the back of my head, and then in the rest of your answer, I'll figure out something you said to be like, oh, since you mentioned that, let's go to this, and then I'll just kind of. That's how I do it. It's probably dangerous, and I know I've kind of flubbed it a couple times to where it looks really awkward. But I also, I don't know, man. I'm a risky guy. I like to fly by the seat of my pants sometimes. And
as an edge, huh?
I'm not to the point where I want to live stream these things yet. But also, I don't want too much structure. So, we just let it rip and, see where it lands,
I think it makes it a little bit more comfortable for certain people, too. Because, like, I know you do big and small creators, small like myself. And, I think it's cool because, if you're doing it pre-recorded, I feel like people are going to come in here with a lot more of I guess like a clear mind, right? Yeah. Whereas if you're doing it live, like, there's going to be people watching. So a lot of people probably get a little nervous. I know I did for my first ever interview, but like, you do get used to it.
Sure.
But like even to your point, like if you're trying to come up with questions on the fly, bro, like that's scary. I'm not gonna lie. At least
Yeah.
here, you could like, you could like cut, you could do it, whatever you need to do. But like, when it's live, it's live.
I've had a few. They've, I'd ask them a question and they had an answer. It's like, sorry, I can't get it out. I'm just a little nervous. I'm like, hey, take your time. I can edit it out. There's no reason to be nervous because I'm not exactly like, I'm just some white guy. I'm literally nobody. But also, I do it too. I don't think I ever said it, but it was T-Tar Collectibles.
Oh, okay.
I could not get my intro out. I think I had to say it like 6 times. And the whole time, and he was super nice. He's just sitting there, just like smiling. And after the fourth time, he was just like, "Everything okay? Everything okay, man?" And I'm like, "I promise, this is not how this normally goes. I usually have this on lock." And he's like, "Nope, it's okay." And so like, it happens to the best of us, but just as a lesson for everybody, no matter what it is, whether it's content, even if you're live and something goes wrong, the worst case scenario is often nowhere near as bad as you think it is. So when it comes to making decisions for your business or taking a chance, the worst that'll usually happen is you might lose a little bit of money, you might lose a little bit of time, and then at the best case scenario, you get a clip that you can make into a short and maybe get a couple thousand views, and then everything's good.
Yeah, yeah. I actually thought of a question that I kind of wanted to ask with everything that you just said. So how long? Okay, so I guess we'll start with how long ago did you start making content? Because I know you've been doing your pack groups for a while now.
Seriously, like long form stuff, like 3 months ago. I want to say it was probably 4 years. I did a video like 4 years ago, and I was like, "Hey, my name is Bronzgod, and this is what I'm doing." And then following year, I made my second video, and it was saying, "Hey, my name is Bronzgod, and this is what I'm doing." And I literally did like 2 or 3 intro videos a year apart. And then on the second or third year, that's when I started doing the shorts. That was probably about a year and a half ago at this point. And the only reason why I did those was to do something daily. I always wanted to do something daily. I think at that time, Danny Phantom was starting to do his like, I'm going to do content every day. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to take this seriously, it doesn't matter if I do a long form video. I just got to do something every day. But it was easier to do that then because packs were still like $5. Then I started doing an unboxing every month or every other month. I would just do a giveaway for it. And then I would do my next box and then announce the giveaway. And then I would slowly started kind of getting, that was when I was like maybe just about a year into selling. And then I started doing more and having success with it. Then I started to transition into this. And now we're trying to get to the point where we're doing it every day, which we're almost there. There's still the odd day where, the scheduling isn't there. I don't prioritize things properly, but, yeah, it's probably been 3 months religiously, and I just had that one video where that knucklehead called me a bunch of obscene names that, that got things going. I just got really lucky and getting whatever kind of bump that I got. Which just proves to anybody that a lot of this is just luck. I mean, you can have great content and just never catch the wave.
Yeah, yeah. That's how you and I actually met. For those of everybody else who doesn't know.
Yeah.
Like I seen his video. And then I went and I looked you up, and then I saw your response, and then that's when I hit you up on Discord. I'm like, bro, don't let this guy,
You were, I'm telling you, man, like there were a lot of people that messaged with it, but you were the first, and you had some incredibly nice things to say. And I'll never forget that. And I think a lot of people, when they start making content, they think that they're automatically going to get flamed in their comments or be called or whatever. And it's going to happen eventually. But there are so many more people out there that want to see you succeed, are going to find value in what you say. And if they don't find value in everything you say, that's why you just put out content regularly. You never know what's going to stick with someone. You never know what's going to mean something to someone. And then that's how the snowball gets rolling. Then you start meeting fantastic people like Hectic and Phantom and TJ. And then you start, that's how like natural networks start to happen. And all that stuff doesn't happen if you don't start. So,
Yeah, I know. I never said anything, but I actually, so your video and his video, I put him on Phantom's Discord at the time, and I was like, "You look at this sleaze bag talking about this, that, the third." And so that got his eyes on it. I also did it to Raw TCG's Discord, and he's like, "Listen." Both of them were like, "Don't respond to the guy. Like, don't give him, don't name him, don't name non-promoter or anything like that. Don't give him like the viewership or whatever." But but we're gonna make, you know, like responses to it or whatever. And like I thought that
That's
was
what's
pretty
up.
cool because everybody kind of comes together for that type of
Oh
thing.
yeah,
But
it's it's like Jurassic Park, man. Life finds a way, and it's not going to find a way if you're not in it to win it. So
yeah.
yeah. Well, Hectic, man, I really appreciate you stopping by. You know, it only took about 4 months of going back and forth of schedule changes and absolute craziness, but we finally made it happen. And you know, I appreciate everything you do. And before we sign off, if you want to give a reminder to the people on where they can find you, where they can find all your various content, and again, we'll make sure we link it all in the description before we get this thing live.
Yeah, so my main channel, the art focus channel, is Hectiktcg. That's my regular name that you see on the screen. And then for the business channel, literally it's the same name. Right after you just put BIZ for biz. I wanted to make it short and sweet, and that's my business channel. So
Nice. All right, man. Well, hope you have a good rest of your week. We'll see you in the next episode, and have a good day.